Well, it's a couple of things, and we'll play the soundbite from him in a little bit about profitability. That's why the stock is moving higher, but we should make two quick notes because this gets a lot of attention. It has since the last earnings call. First of all, the tone for Elon Musk, much more conciliatory. He's not combative and prickly as he sometimes can be. And along those lines, he has apologized to Tony Sacconaghi, who asked the question last quarter, and he was told, hey, that's a bonehead question. That's the notes in terms of the tenor of the phone call. Why is the stock moving higher? Here's Elon Musk talking about where the company is now in terms of profitability possibilities starting next quarter.
Our goal is to be profitable and cash flow positive for every quarter going forward. Now, obviously, if there's a big recession or there's a severe force majeure event that interrupts our supply chain, that's not always possible. But we're confident that provided the economy is roughly where it is today or reasonably good, and there's not a big force majeure event, that I feel comfortable achieving a GAAP income positive and cash flow positive quarter every quarter from here on out.
Scott, you combine those comments along with better than expected results in terms of liquidity and cash burn from the second quarter, and that's why you have a stock that is moving substantially higher after hours. Scott, back to you.
All right, Phil, thank you very much. Phil LeBeau for us in Chicago. Let's get back to Gene Munster, also listening on the phone at the Plasma. All right, Gene, give me your reaction. I mean, you're the guy who wrote the open letter telling him to, get back on the program or whatever, but is this take things in the right direction, an apology to Tony?
I was very surprised, Scott, and I think it does kind of show a new tone. People don't change overnight. I want to caution investors that I'm sure there's going to be something in the next few months that might not sit right, but this is a major step forward from a very proud person to have that kind of commentary. And second, and that's kind of the shine on this quarter here, as far as the substance, his reiteration that they will be profitable into perpetuity now, I think is comforting, because that's the whole negative story here, is that they're going to run out of cash. So I think that's comforting. And one final thing to think about here is that when we look at the number of pre-orders, they're not giving reservation numbers out anymore because you're taking orders versus reservations, but 400,000 plus, and they don't even have Model 3s in all the stores for people to test drive. As they get out into the wild, I suspect you're going to see an acceleration of growth rate from the Model 3 in the next couple of years. Very encouraging developments here on the Tesla story.
Gene, what was the most interesting thing on the call? I'm actually looking at the quote from Musk about to Tony Sacconaghi. No excuse for bad manners is what Musk said to Tony Sacconaghi.
It's a subtle point, and it's funny that we're talking about this kind of stuff, but that is the most significant part, at least in my mind, because Elon Musk is such a central part of the story, and to have some increased confidence that he's on track, I think should reassure investors that this wonderful mission that they're on can be accomplished.
Give me a final grade then. If you take everything into consideration, the numbers, Musk himself, you put teacher Munster puts what grade on this?
This is a B+, and I think that the financials still aren't where they need to be. They still have some work to go there, but I think his commentary, his kind of tenure on the call, and I think what they're saying about continued profitability going forward, I think makes this a very respectable quarter and gives the company a clear path to continuing to move the stock higher.
All right, Gene, good stuff. Gene Munster,
thank you,
joining us there. Go back to you, right? He apologized to Tony, even though you had no problem with his behavior. One of the few.
Well, the stock price sold off, so I had a problem being long. But other than that, you want a CEO that defends the stock. He didn't defend it the proper way, but I do applaud him for not being bashful when people come at him. He goes right back at them. So, yes, he did not say it properly, but I do appreciate that he is combative to analysts in his name. Now, having said that, stock's trading at $325, up 8%. It's infamous for giving back those profits the following day during trading. So you have to watch this name. It runs into resistance at 329 and 340. So there's some hurdles here that we have to do to get back to that 373 really high in the clouds price that we just saw just a handful of weeks ago.
I think the B plus makes total sense because what did we really, we knew they'd probably miss, right? I mean, there are a lot of things that we basically kind of knew going into this quarter, but addressing the financials, that I think was the most important thing. And we look at what their cash position is, and that's something. The efficiency of cutting back on some of the CapEx, that's something. So they're giving up a little something, Scott, becoming more efficient, which is something they absolutely had to do. So I think it's very important. I like what Steve's saying, though. It gets up in this level. Does it pull back a little bit, or can it get through that 329?
Karen, the apology?
Well, I like the apology. I mean, the idea of having this visionary CEO who's also sort of more reliable and calm and not so emotional, I think is important, particularly if they need to come back to the debt market.